Welcome to my shop. I like watching shop tours, so I figured I'd do a shop tour because my place is finally in a state where I kind of like it, although it's still a work in progress. There's messes everywhere, and this is how I actually operate. Things aren't manicured and things aren't pretty, but this is how I get things done. This is also going to be kind of like a mini Q&A because I get a lot of frequent questions on my videos that I can't really answer otherwise, so I figured that I'd embed them into this video. So if you want to know a little bit more about me and all of my weird junk, then this is the video for you. Now, I also need to pay the bills for this place, so today's video is brought to you by Surfshark. Surfshark is the VPN you need, but why should you want it? Well, if you care about your online security and value your privacy, the people at Surfshark care about security so much, they create a VPN app that secures your data with industry-leading measures by using uncrackable encryption and the most secure VPN protocols. They provide IP and DNS leak protection so that nobody can find out where you're connecting from. And they maintain a strict no-logs policy that works even better with Surfshark's 100% RAM-only server network within British Virgin Island jurisdictions, which means Surfshark doesn't keep your data. And just one subscription allows you to install and run Surfshark on an unlimited number of devices at the same time. There are apps for all platforms: PC, Mac, Linux, Android, iOS, smart TVs, Amazon Fire TV Stick, Apple TV, Chrome, Firefox, Xbox, and PlayStation. They've also got you covered with 24/7 customer support that ensures your issues will be solved in a prompt and timely manner. And best of all, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee that gives you plenty of time to try out Surfshark risk-free. So if you're ready to get started, you can get Surfshark VPN using my link in the description, and be sure to enter promo code MrVolt. So first things first, right off the bat, my shop is the available space in the garage where I am renting. So I don't have full use of the garage, but I can modify things to my liking. There's some things that belong to my roommate back there, which we're not going to acknowledge, and some of my landlord's junk tucked away in the corner. But for the most part, this is my domain. This is my happy place. And right at the intro, we've got my pride and joy, my Shapeoko Pro, Shapeoko Pro CNC router. I'm going to say a lot of brand names throughout this video, but I'm not affiliated with any of them. I paid for all of my stuff that you'll see here today. I really like it because it's relatively compact. I've owned several of Carbide 3D's CNC products, and I really like it, one, because they're local. They're based out of Torrance, California, which isn't too far away from where I live. And this enables me to make aluminum and plastic parts with a great deal of precision, and it's just a heck of a lot of fun. So one quirk of the shop, the house that I'm living in, is 100 years old. So it has knob and tube wiring, which frankly I find terrifying. But there's nothing I can really do about that. So power is fairly limited. I don't try and run a whole lot of electronics, certainly nothing, no high current loads. So something I'm mindful of all the time, but I just got to make do. Shop computer, just an old Lenovo business computer and a little swing out monitor. It's still running Windows 7, which is totally fine for my CNC controller. I've got an aluminum pegboard for the majority of my hand tools. Nothing too exotic there. Some artwork, you know, my Erkin Armada, Dharma Initiative, and old followers of the channel might recognize this helmet as the video pass-through helmet I made for my Symmetra laser turrets video. Oh, such a bad video, but that was kind of a fun, quick little build. This is not a piece of artwork that I made, but this is a genuine Department of Defense fallout shelter sign, which I got from my friend Randy. I love this thing so much. I think a lot of people know that I'm a huge Fallout fan as well, so pretty sweet. Another one of my prized possessions, one of my builds for Element 14. This is the countdown timer from the Hatch, the Dharma Initiative Swan Station countdown timer from Lost. And it is still in working order, but I haven't powered it up in a long time. I think it might be fun to turn into a subscriber counter, which would be really cool. But it's just sort of hanging out up there on the top of my shop. Exit sign and corkboard just for organizing things. And another past build who I finally recovered from Sacramento is Claptrap. Claptrap is actually a case mod. He's not full scale, he's like 3/4 scale, but he wasn't fully animatronic in the original version. I never even finished him. Like, there are a lot of details that I didn't finish painting. I had to design and build him in 6 weeks, so just ran out of time, but he's totally busted. His eye's broken, his arms are broken, and I want to make him animatronic, give him animatronic arms and hands, which I feel totally equipped to do so now. So really looking forward to getting started on Claptrap, but that'll be probably at least a couple months from now before I start working on him. Focus. So this, some of my younger audience, I've gotten a lot of people who say this is a microwave, or they thought it was a microwave at first glance. This was in my GLaDOS video, and I've used it before, but this is actually a genuine Apple III monitor, which is a monochrome green on black CRT. This particular one was made in 1985, and I absolutely love it. So the reason I have this is because they use an Apple II and the Monitor 3 in Lost for entering the numbers. So I do have a monochrome green or dumb terminal that I used for the original video. I'm not going to get an Apple II. I'm not really interested, so I'm going to make a Raspberry Pi version for ultimately controlling that. Another retro tech thing. This is my Tandy computer power strip. Also very satisfying. Just a random junk assembly desk. We've got some electronics for Wheatley there. And now we're getting on to storage. So I like using these Acro Mills part bins for all of my hardware and fasteners. I haven't gone through and labeled everything yet because the most important things are labeled, and I try and keep everything relatively organized. So metric fasteners, Imperial, more exotic components, and then, you know, miscellaneous, so much miscellaneous. This is all resting on a 6-foot workbench with some magnetic tool holders for some smaller tools. This is actually a really fun thing. It looks homemade, but I actually didn't make it. This was bought at Home Depot for like 50 bucks. It's a pretty good deal. Other quick organization tool tip that I like. This is a dishware organizer from IKEA you can get for a few bucks. I really like using these for organizing parts and tools during a build. They're super cheap and just ready to go. So quick tip for you, some metal storage down there and more component storage as well. And of course, on the workbench, or one of the workbenches, is Wheatley. Wheatley is still not done. I still have a few minor modifications. You won't see any visual changes really, but I will have this video out in less than 10 days. I've been working on this for 9 months, so I'm really excited to have him done. But of course, I'll still be using him in future videos. The next Aperture IRL video will be building the management rail for Wheatley, which I still need to figure out how that's going to work in my garage. Drill press back here, literally the cheapest drill press you can buy at Harbor Freight. I don't use it a whole lot, but it's, you know, gotta have a drill press. In the back, another one of my old projects. This is Mercy's staff from Overwatch. You can see it's a little worse for wear. It's held together by zip ties. There's just so much stress on the part. The head is really heavy. I only designed one iteration of this, so never really got much more love. Clock from a friend's old shop, LoRa remote, and sorry, I should pull back because we are at the wall of past projects. I brought some of my old projects back. I don't have time to talk about every single one because there's so many, but I will at least name them. So this is my CNC controller, a little jog wheel, little Pokebike sound module, rotary cell phones. This is an old video on my channel, my working rotary cell phones, and a later iteration that I made for Element 14. Obviously not powered right now, but they both have real rotary phone mechanisms in there. My knockoff Tamagotchi clone, I don't know if you can see the Japanese characters. Mine is called a Tomodachi. My Casio texting wristwatch. That was a fun, quick build. My take on a Cyberdeck, another Element 14 project, just like this magic gift ball. Now in Make Magazine. Pretty cool. This one, Portal fans might recognize the outline of. This is a fragile security camera, a Portal security camera. This was an Element 14 project, but it's not motorized, so this will get an upgrade for its own episode in Aperture IRL. Pretty simple one. The head of Gurr, a build that I'm not particularly proud of, but Jonan Vasquez saw it and he actually gave me a compliment on Twitter, so 13-year-old me is pretty satisfied. His body has since been destroyed. It wasn't very secure, so I did want to keep his head. His antenna is tucked away inside there. Giant cell phone and Snowball, another early Overwatch build. I did a lot of Overwatch builds in 2017. This one was really cool too because Blizzard actually rented Snowball from me, which I was so excited for. But I still love my little Snowball build. Wheatley Crab hanging out above some of the projectors that I have salvaged. I like collecting CRTs. I love CRTs. All of these are functional. You know, people give them to me or I spend money on them. Ostensibly, I'm going to use them for something. Like building possibly a full-scale Robco terminal, although none of these are actually proportional to scaling it up, but I would love to build a full-scale Robco terminal. This was another Element 14 build as well. Plasma Globe, just another one of those random parts builds because for a long time I've also wanted to build a Goddard from Jimmy Neutron, and he's got a nice plasma brain. And one of my more shameful projects, this is a, well, it should be, a steam-powered Raspberry Pi game console. I can't remember the name of the Pi emulator. I don't really play classic games too much. But I bought the cheapest Steam engine from Amazon, and it just didn't work. And my power supply design for it didn't work. But it looks cool. It's got brass and walnut and ABS inlay. I think it's pretty cool still looking. And Roberto, who for some reason I never gave arms. Another old build. I really love him. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I've also started working on Bending Rodriguez. All right, question number one. Where did you learn how to build this stuff? On my own. I'm self-taught. I'm actually not an engineer of any sort. I have been learning this slowly since I was a kid. The most expensive thing I owned when I was a teenager was a soldering iron that I bought for like 60 bucks from SparkFun, actually. So I've been learning this via books, magazines. Well, I haven't read a magazine in like 10 years, but I did 10 years ago. And YouTube videos, countless YouTube videos, and just asking people. Whenever I met someone who knew how to do the kinds of things that I wanted to do, I would ask them a ton of questions. And if you want to learn how to do this kind of stuff, it's never been easier. The world is so much more accessible and things are so much more affordable when it comes to building your own custom electronics or fabrication. I mean, I'm obsessed with electronics. But I'll leave some links down below for some of my favorite resources for learning how to build all this cool stuff. But my advice for you, if you want to learn how to build this cool stuff, is just pick something that you actually want to build and look up a tutorial, follow along, and then try something just a little bit harder each time. And eventually you'll get to a point where you can build things on your own, you know? Or I guess you could go to school, but that requires a lot of debt. Question number two, am I Russian? No. Some people have pointed out that I've got a Russian poster in the background, and that's technically correct. It is a spray from the game Overwatch because I was a Zarya main and she was my favorite hero, so I vectorized my favorite spray and upscaled it because it's Rosie the Riveter, but Zarya as Rosie. Although I did actually study Russian language in college. That was my major. I think it's a wonderful language and it's super cool, although I have no Russian heritage. I just really like languages and Cyrillic is awesome. And back here is the side room, which, as you can see, was a total mess. It was basically neglected for decades, seriously decades. My landlords owned this house for 50 years now, and they didn't make use of this room, so I had to clear it out. And let me turn on the light. This will become, whoa, right now it is overflow for my paint and glues and lubes because I needed to unbox these. But ultimately these will not live here. I think I'm going to turn this room into an SLA 3D printing room. So I have 4 3D printers. I might put them all in here, but I think I'll just keep the SLA printer. I've got a Frozen Sonic Mighty 4K, but it's such a mess that I'm not going to keep it inside the house. But you can see there are literally plants growing inside this room. Kind of cool. I actually don't mind it. Smell is interesting. You guys can't smell, but it's certainly fresh. And there's a closet to the side here, and this will ultimately be my paint storage room. All right, now let's move on to the long, what I'm calling the long electronics bench, which is built on a DeWalt storage rack. But right now I've got GLaDOS down here. She's not installed anywhere. She's not in disrepair per se, but she was in Sacramento for the past few months because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to work on her while I worked on Wheatley. And I'm not sure where I'm going to put her. I think I might put her, you know, right there next to the countdown timer, but still not sure on her placement because I do want her in frame. Also, this will be close to power, so I can actually power her up. Not a lot of power options on the other side of the shop. But don't worry, I'm not going to abandon GLaDOS. Plus, she's got a friend. She's sitting right next to Rosie, another Element 14 build, which has some mechanical issues, and right now her neck is broken. You can't really tell, but it's totally snapped. And I didn't design her arms very well, so she couldn't lift up her arms, but I would love to revisit Rosie. And I just enjoyed building her so much, and aesthetically, I'm extremely satisfied with her. I couldn't find evidence of anyone else building a Rosie, like, ever, which is surprising considering how old of a character she is. I would love to know if anyone else has tried. So, electronic storage, more Acro Mills part spins, my wire storage. I previously had a different electronics bench as of like 2 weeks ago, so this is just hanging out right here. Not the most convenient spot, but it is what it is. And my soldering station, just another random components bin. Soldering station, trusty Hako soldering iron, which I've literally never needed to change the tip on. It works great. It's a tank. Fume extraction, helping hands, hand tools, multimeter. I don't really have any test equipment. I don't do, like, I don't know, super hardcore electrical engineering. I don't need to diagnose anything, so my electronic setup is pretty minimal. So heat shrink, tubing, more awkward electronic components, headers, you know, terminal blocks, breadboards, assorted lengths of wire. I don't have a drawer for them yet. And more overflow electronic parts storage, just bulky things like motors and wires and all the good crap that people have given me over the years. And in the middle of the room, I've also got my main workbench, which currently has the Waldo, that I use to puppet Wheatley, although it's not specific to Wheatley. I could use it to puppet anything. Right now, I'm redesigning these sensor mounts. For some reason, I designed them without any strain relief, so these these totally snap off all the time. So I made new connectors, new mounting pieces for the sensors so that I can be a bit more vigorous with the Waldo. But that will get acknowledged more in my Wheatley video. Other than that, that's all I got for you. Thanks for stopping by, and let me know if you have any more questions below. I'll see you guys next time.